Since the photo finish in Iowa's caucuses, Pennsylvania's Rick Santorum is getting a huge momentum boost as conservative Republicans search for an alternative to frontrunner Mitt Romney. Now, at the same time, Texas Governor Rick Perry says he is back, and Minnesota Congresswoman Michelle Bachmann, well, she's out. For more on that, here's Susan McGinnis.
Great husband, Marcus, and Michelle Bachmann.
Michelle Bachmann is dropping out of the Republican presidential race.
The people of Iowa spoke with a very clear voice, and so I have decided to stand aside.
The Minnesota Congresswoman finished sixth in the Iowa caucuses, beating only John Huntsman, who did not campaign here.
I have no regrets, none whatsoever. We never compromised our principles, and we can leave this race knowing that we ran it with utmost integrity.
Bachmann was the surprise winner of an Iowa straw poll last summer. She was the first woman ever to win that contest, but she could not hold on to that momentum.
Her campaign steadily lost support since the straw poll, beginning with Rick Perry's entry into the race.
This race has been completely unconventional. I've never seen anything like this.
The 55-year-old lawmaker says she'll keep fighting for her conservative values and to overturn many of President Obama's initiatives, including health care reform.
Our country is in very serious trouble, and that this might be the last election to turn the nation around.
Rick Santorum, Newt Gingrich, and Rick Perry will now be courting Bachmann's conservative supporters. Susan McGinnis, CBS News, Des Moines, Iowa.
So, with all eyes now on New Hampshire, we are joined by David Marks, senior editor at Politico. He's in our Washington bureau. Good morning, David.
Good morning. Good to be with you.
Well, Senator John McCain came out to endorse Mitt Romney on Wednesday. Now, the two men weren't sworn political enemies. So, did that surprise you that Cain is now in Romney's court?
It is kind of surprising that it happened so quickly. It's not like John McCain and Mitt Romney were bitter enemies in 2008. That was more like Mitt Romney and Mike Huckabee, who really didn't like each other. But still, there was some lasting animosity, and it's a big boost for Governor Romney. After all, John McCain has twice won the New Hampshire primary, and this is giving him a ring of endorsement right as he needs it, just a few days before voting happens.
Yeah, and just like formal rivalry, it seems like McCain got in a few jokes about that tight victory in Iowa.
That's right. It's almost really difficult to ignore, but I think the Romney people would say a win is a win. We'll take it however we got it. And also, Mitt Romney was dealing with a crowded field, 5 or 6 other competitors. It's really hard to get that far ahead statistically. So all in all, I think he had a pretty decent night. Yeah,
by 8 votes he did. But keep in mind that
right.
Romney won only 25% of caucus votes in Iowa. But many pundits say that he really has New Hampshire sewn up. Do you agree with that?
I'd say he's in a pretty good position there. The problem, the challenge he has is that expectations are now so high for him that if he doesn't really score well there and win by a large margin, it will be viewed as a disappointment, even if he does win. So he's got to come up with some pretty good numbers there. I think the fact that some of the other candidates, Rick Perry, Newt Gingrich, etc., have gone on to South Carolina, it's a pretty good indicator that Mitt Romney is in good shape in New Hampshire.
Well, let's look at another guy who's in pretty good shape at the moment, Rick Santorum. You know, he can't compete with Romney when it comes to financing a campaign. And despite losing to Romney by only 8 votes in the Iowa caucus, can he really be competitive going forward?
I think it's going to be a big challenge. The Santorum people say that they've raised a ton of money since his near win in Iowa on Tuesday night, but it remains to be seen if he can really finance a campaign, not just in New Hampshire, but down in South Carolina, more importantly in a state like Florida, which has its voting coming up toward the end of January. So that's a lot of financial resources Rick Santorum needs to gather in, and quite quickly.
Well, when you say he's raised a ton of money since the caucus yesterday, how much are we talking?
It depends on the figure that they discuss. It's not written down yet. They don't have to report it, but it could be in the tens of thousands of dollars.
This campaign's going to cost a little bit more than that.
Well, exactly. That'll pay for a few television commercials in
yeah.
New Hampshire, maybe 1 or 2 in South Carolina, but that's about it.
Yeah. All right. Well, Texas Governor Rick Perry says he is still in it, but if his numbers in South Carolina are soft, can he really stay in this race?
It's not clear why Governor Perry is staying in the race. At his speech on Tuesday night, when the Iowa results were rolling in, which he did not do very well, he came in fourth, he sort of hinted at dropping out. It's not clear why he's staying in. There's some speculation, kind of like Newt Gingrich. He wants to kind of be a blocker for Rick Santorum to get a nice hit in against Mitt Romney, essentially prevent Romney from doing well in South Carolina. That remains to be seen how that strategy might work, but it's a lot of conservative voters down there, and Perry just may have some grounding.
Well, Newt Gingrich's campaign took a bit of a nosedive in Iowa. Any chance for a comeback in South Carolina for him?
It's possible. After all, he represented neighboring Georgia. There's some similarities there. But again, at this point, I think it's mostly revenge against Mitt Romney. There seems to be some real animus toward the Romney campaign by Newt Gingrich, and that's when Newt Gingrich does best, when he's angry, when he's fighting, when he's in the minority. When he tries to play Mr. Nice Guy, it's not very sincere, but when he can use his sharp debating skills, some would say his poison tongue, that's when he's at his best.
And very quickly, Ron Paul, he did pretty well in Iowa, came in third. Does he have a shot at this?
I don't think he has a shot at the Republican nomination, but we cannot ignore what happened with Ron Paul's support in Iowa. After all, he got about twice as many votes as he did back in 2008. He came in a solid third, 25% to 21%. So he could still have a major influence on the nominating process. He could go ahead, pick up delegates for months to come, and have some influence at the nominating convention.
Well, all eyes will be on New Hampshire to see what happens next. Very exciting, David Mark. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you.